As Putin makes moves, our leaders are struggling for answers. Joe Biden spoke to the American people today and seemed detached.
Russia's moved troops closer to Ukraine's border with Russia. Russia's naval vessels are maneuvering in the Black Sea to Ukraine's south, including amphibious assault ships, missile cruisers, and submarines. Russia's moved supplies of blood and medical equipment into position on their border. You don't need blood unless you plan on starting a war.
This does feel like a war's begun. It didn't take long for Americans to feel it in their bank accounts. The global economy shuttered, and oil is close to $100 a barrel. And gas prices up nearly $1 a gallon since last year, and after this, heading to $4 a gallon. But the very first time Biden admitted, oh, this might affect you, was today. And it's just the beginning.
Defending freedom will have cost for us as well, and here at home. We need to be honest about that. We're closely monitoring energy supplies for any disruption. This will blunt gas prices. I want to limit the pain the American people are feeling at the gas pump.
Biden says he has a plan. I hope it's better than his plan to crush the virus. Right now, looks like Putin gets Ukraine and we get higher gas prices. We at Jesse Watters Primetime wanted to know what the American people thought about this jump at the pump. So today, we hit the streets.
What do you think about these high gas prices?
I think they're ridiculous.
They're ridiculous.
Insane.
Too expensive.
It's a lot.
It's difficult for us.
It's horrible. It's $5.29 here. I can't afford that.
How much does it cost you to fill up your tank?
My tank, $80.
Over 100?
Here it cost me about $100. Other places it cost me about $50.
$60.
$110. Regular.
Russia just invaded Ukraine, and the gas prices are going to go up big time. What should Joe Biden do?
Resign.
You should think about the people living in America. That's it.
We definitely have to quell this because if this keeps happening, we're going to have to park our cars.
He's going to do these sanctions on them, supposedly, right? Russia. But that's not going to help us any because the prices are going to go up.
So gas prices are already up $1 under Joe Biden.
Way more than $1. It is double. It is definitely double.
What has he been doing wrong?
Everything. Maybe he could wake up.
We have a whole list.
He's focused too much on big ideas and his legacy and less on what's hurting the individual consumer every day.
And I think he needs to really focus on what's going on over here as far as inflation, prices, everything is going up. I don't think Biden is really focusing on the real issues of what Americans need.
How much more can you take?
I can't take it yet now, so that means, I can't take lots more, so I'm already to the neck,
If that happens, I'm taking a bus or the train.
Not much more. And I guess the rich don't have to worry about these things.
Any message to Joe Biden about the high gas prices?
Focus on America and forget about everything else.
Take care of all America and all Americans.
Don't let the gas prices go up.
Get them lower. We don't belong in Russia, Ukraine, anything, and you could definitely leave office. That would be great.
So the people don't care about Russia or the Ukraine the way the Europeans do. We care about our money, our borders, and our safety. We just want Biden to do something for us for once. Not his donors, not the allies and his family members, just once for us. He's begging the Saudis to throw him a bone and pump some more oil, but they're standing by their new friends, Russia, and giving us the middle finger. So Joe's running out of friends and options. He spent years telling us he was Putin's worst enemy.
The fact is that I've gone head-to-head with Putin and made it clear to him we're not going to take any of his stuff. Putin knows if I am president of the United States, his days of tyranny and trying to intimidate the United States and those in Eastern Europe are over. I'm going to stand up to him. He's a bully.
That's just tough talk. That's all that was. The minute Joe got into office, he dropped sanctions on Russia's pipeline to Germany. And he killed our pipeline from Canada.
I have been opposed to Nord Stream 2 from the beginning. but it only has, it's almost completed by the time I took office. And to go ahead and impose sanctions now would, I think, be counterproductive in terms of our European relations. They know how strongly I feel, and I hope we can work on how they handle it from this point on.
Biden also signaled to Russia that a minor incursion into Ukraine may not really be that big of a deal, remember?
Russia will be held accountable if it invades, and it depends on what it does. It's one thing if it's a minor incursion and then we end up having a fight about what to do and not do, et cetera.
Vlad noticed that. He also noticed how we left Afghanistan without honor or expertise. Sources said Putin decided to invade Ukraine after witnessing that mess. Putin telegraphed his imperialistic desires. George Bush saw it. Obama saw it. Now it's happening under Joe Biden. He went into Georgia, Crimea, and Ukraine. But the media blames this latest invasion, you guessed it, on Trump. And we'll get to that a little later in the show. Russian troops have already invaded the pro-Russian regions of the Ukraine. So how much further into the country are they going to go? And will Russia go into Poland or the Baltic NATO nations? And at what point are we going to start sending large numbers of Americans to NATO countries? Well, according to the New York Times, it's already started, with Biden sending 1,000 to 5,000 American troops to Eastern European countries, with the potential to increase that number tenfold if things deteriorated, officials said. Those 5,000 troops from the 82nd Airborne Division have already been deployed to Poland, where they're bracing for the worst and prepping to process thousands of refugees who I'm sure Biden will fly right here into America. But if Biden increases their presence tenfold, that means we may have as many as 50,000 troops in Eastern Europe on high alert. So if Putin continues his dream of patching the old Soviet empire back together, are we prepared to risk our sons to fight a ground war in Eastern Europe over a nation like Estonia? I mean, that's a very legitimate question, and it's not an easy one. Nothing against the wonderful people of Estonia. I mean, that country has the same population as Maine. We have a treaty, I know. If Article 5 is triggered, what happens? Are Americans behind this in 2022? At a certain point, when do the nations of Germany and France step up and police their own continent? Biden's running out of time, but lucky for us, he has one option left. He can call in the one man out there with long-time experience in the region, someone who knows the Ukraine inside and out, someone who knows European energy policy and has done big business with Moscow. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time to deploy America's top diplomat, Hunter Biden.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.